so we could use.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a quarterback of Atlanta Falcon history. Oh boy. Not everyone can write the check off and say forget. Ready when you are. Yep. Ready. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are here at the Waterland Arcade. Lavelle Big Man Bogan. Got my guy here, Prim, to my left. I got Mr. Baseball Scott to my right. And we talking some sports today. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everybody. I hope you're able to get everything that you wanted to get on the list. There's a lot to talk about in sports. A lot to talk about, and I'm trying to figure out where to start. I'm going to briefly kind of go over some things here. And I want to throw this question out here, and I want you guys to answer once we get going, kind of like an introductory question. I posted it on Facebook. What will happen first? Sonics return? The Seahawks win the Super Bowl? Or the Mariners win the World Series? What will happen? There we go. What will happen first? Right? And ooh, Sonics return. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Either one will cause for a celebration. Either one would happen. Okay, you.
So Scott decided to come in here drunk already. We are. I think. I think realistically, we are under the assumption that by 2025 to 2026 season that we're supposed to have a Sonic team here in Seattle playing. So that is the understanding, and with all the issues that we're seeing from our Seahawks, issues that we can't fundamentally figure out.
Right, right.
And a Mariners team that looks like they just don't want to win, or winning is not necessarily on their priorities list.
Right.
I think the Sonics should be back first. Until Seattle, and I think we're talking about Sonics, Seahawks, Mariners.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the pecking order until the Seahawks fix that offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mariners get serious about free agency and making trades to fix this team.
Oh, wow. All right. There we go. So a few things I want to discuss. We're going to talk about the Seahawks and Green Bay, that horrible loss. We're going to talk about Minnesota Vikings coming to town, right? And it's a must-win game. We can have another must-win game in a little of 3 weeks. And also, I want to talk about Sam Darnold's turnaround and how the 3 C's are necessary for a quarterback to be successful. You guys aren't even curious about what the 3 C's are? Coaching, culture, and confidence. Not necessarily in those order, but we'll talk about that. Coaching, culture, and confidence. Let's see what else we got here. The Seattle Kraken played the Chicago Blackhawks last week, and unfortunately they lost 3-1. The Blackhawks scored 2 goals, and part of me is pronounce this guy's name. Arvid Soderblom made 27 saves to secure the 3rd straight win. So we got to talk about the Kraken, okay? Before that, the Kraken also played New Jersey Devils on December 7th, and also lost 2-1. And we're going to talk about the Atlanta Falcons making the change at quarterback. How does that affect the Atlanta Falcons long-term and Kirk Cousins? Because believe it or not, I believe they can cut Kirk Cousins and save $10 million. And I was doing that research, and I'm like, wow, okay. So that contract, when we talk about guaranteed, that language in the contract is not always guaranteed, all right? That's why they always say football contracts can be written on toilet paper, because you can say guaranteed, but there's always loopholes to try to save money. Yeah, portion of it. Yeah, exactly. Hey, that's right. Absolutely. And then we got this cup thing, and maybe I'm just slow, but when I was watching Milwaukee, just on sports, the Sports Center, lifting up a trophy, and I'm like, what is this? And I guess they won the single elimination tournament. NBA? Yeah, NBA Cup. Yeah, I'm clueless. Yeah.
They started that during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Basketball has gotten so bad. Yeah, we got to figure out how to make some type of in-season tournament.
Listen,
to make it interesting.
I'm gonna set the tone for this. I believe this to be accurate. The best basketball I watched, modern day, was when the season was shortened. And I'm gonna tell you why. Not that it was the best basketball as far as precision, but every game mattered, and something needs to be done to make. I think they win $500,000 a piece for the team that wins, so that's a huge incentive. But NBA comes across as lazy. They look like they don't want to be there. No intensity of the 90s. Well, yeah, but it seems like they're trying to find ways to get NBA players more motivated on a game by game. Because this modern day of sitting down and making sure you're healthy and making sure you're counting your minutes and stuff like that. This is a new thing. Yeah, it's a new thing. But it takes away from the intensity of basketball, in my opinion. But I'm gonna let you guys share on your thoughts on that, because when I looked at the cup, I said, is that good for basketball, or is it really bad for basketball? I like the idea of the single elimination tournament. I kind of wish they just had that for the playoffs. Win or go home, instead of taking games off. So I'm gonna let you guys break that.
So what do you think? The whole 30 just play single elimination? I mean,
no, break it down to like the top 2 in each division. Play a single elimination tournament. There's your playoffs.
Okay, so this is my thing. For nearly 40 years,
basketball in the NBA.
There was never a problem with this. We have turned around and we have softened the product. We took hand checking out. Remember there was physicality. That big man that used to be up underneath the basket with his back to the basket and the physicality used to come from it. What you're talking about is that the product is not as appealing. Maybe you should take some of them rules that you put in away that change the game. We always have this argument. We always have this debate. Right? Jordan, LeBron. Who is better, Jordan, LeBron? And the argument that us old heads have about Jordan is that it's a different game that they played pre-90s or 90s, pre-90s, or pre-2000s than what they play now, right? The LeBron, the 6'8", 6'9", 250 to 260-pound man flopping from a 6-footer, bumping into him under the basket, never happened back in those days. Back in the days, if you came to the lane, you could expect to get an elbow to the face or a clothesline. Bill Laimbeer, Kurt Rambis, you know those types of cats.
Back when contact was expected.
Encouraged. It was.
I don't know if it was necessarily encouraged.
Oh, of course it was.
But it was definitely expected.
We celebrated the bad boys. That's how Dennis Rodman became a thing. You know, the Rick Mahorns and the Anthony Masons and the Charles Oakleys. We had full out fights on the actual floor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was that particular. Watching basketball was a totally different thing, and everything changed one night at the Palace. I mean, what happened in Detroit between Indy and Detroit, the fight that carried over into the stands, changed the way basketball was played from that point on. I can't see it as anything else, but realistically, if you're concerned about the viewability, take these rules out that made us cringe when we first started watching them.
Yeah, I'd say get rid of a lot of these rules because a lot of the rules, even in football, baseball, they've made so many changes to make the game safer for the player. But they're not looking at what it's doing to the game. So by making it safer and making all these rules like in football, you can't hit the quarterback above the knee and this and that. I'm sorry. If you're playing football, it's a full contact sport. Expect to get hit.
Hey, Scott, this is one that you could appreciate, especially with the football, right? So we say you can't horse collar, right? Yeah. But you can still pull the man down by his hair.
Yeah, right? Well, and I remember when that first became a thing, too, when guys started wearing long hair. They were questionable. Yeah. Is the hair a thing or not? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, no, your hair is part of your uniform. Yeah. All right, cool.
But remember when we started watching Kobe Bryant come in with Allen Iverson and them, right? And this crossover that Allen Iverson had, that Kobe had, and he did that behind the back spin move. They said, "Oh, that's carrying. Let's make a rule to take that away." So now it's how high you can bring your hand around the ball. And then they got to a point where how high your hand came up is called carrying also, right? Yep. The corresponding defensive move to go with the carry was what? It was the hand check.
Yep.
It was the extended hand to the chest and to the body to move the player, to keep them in front of you. You took that away, and then you said, well, hold up. We don't like seeing Allen Iverson go to the rack this easy. They're going to change that rule too. Man, the game is twisted.
What happened with the 2 steps and it's a travel?
Oh, you mean the Euro? Euro.
You know, now you get 4 or 5 steps to the hole.
Well, the only person that had an exception on the traveling was Patrick Ewing back in the day. You could take shuffle steps. In New York, in the Garden, you got 5 shuffle steps to the basket, and you can throw it up.
Yeah, but now you got people, they're picking up the ball at the 3-point arc, running through the lane and dunking the ball, and not a travel.
Yeah, and when did we start saying that, hey, because European basketball plays this way, we got to play this way? So we call it a Euro step now, and we say that this is okay. This is not okay, bro. Okay, well,
is it because they play that way, or is it because they have more viewership?
It's because there's less defense in the European League. That's why. Nobody plays defense. So how do you get to the basket? Oh, we just do anything we want to. We cradle and rock the baby. 2 more 3 steps. And that's what you got to call it. 2 more 3 steps. It used to be 2 and a half, right?
And speaking of big men, by the way, did you see the 14-year-old kid that won $1 million scholarship or something from Shaq?
And what, basketball?
Not playing basketball. So this 14-year-old kid is 7'7" right now, 335 pounds, stands there and can dunk. And Shaq was just standing there, and he came up behind him and just did one of those old school body check dunks. And Shaq was like, whoa, wait a minute. Shaq moved like he'd been hit by a brick wall.
Yeah, but Shaq's done played with George Mirasan and them cats too. Mirasan was about 7'8", 7'7", 7'6". Yao Ming was 7'5", 7'4".
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah, but this is a 14-year-old kid.
But he
7'7".
So you're saying that he's not afraid of contact either.
No.
Okay, well that's a difference. That's a difference in the old age and this age.
They stood him next to Jake Paul, and Jake Paul looked like a midget.
Well, we're not going to talk about Jake Paul anymore. Jake Paul had his time.
What? He's challenging Conor McGregor.
Oh man, what else did you have, Bogan?
Let me go ahead and set the mood for the show and start talking about Seahawks. Seahawks.
That's where this was going.
Oh yeah, you already know. That's my first love, Northwest Sports Talk. So when we look at the game with Green Bay, I was really disappointed. It seemed like we were taking so many good strides, playing physical, defense coming alive, running the ball a little bit. And then we just play against Green Bay, and we look like what we looked like 5 weeks ago, like a shell of ourselves. And I think Green Bay is very balanced, a good football team, but not as good as we make them look. So some of it, I'm thinking that some of it is just us being inconsistent under this new coaching staff, very inconsistent. We've seen the ability to be physical. We've seen the ability to rush the passer. We've seen the ability to hit on all cylinders. But not let me take that back. Not hit on all cylinders, but hit on certain cylinders. But we've yet to play a complete game. And I'm starting to think a little bit, don't want to be too long-winded, but even that 6th-round pick that's in place of the guard of Bradford, I can't pronounce his name. Yeah, there we go, LeMayo. Is it the fact that he's that good, or is it that the offensive line is that bad, so he has an opportunity in a very bad line? I know he's a physical guy, but it takes more than physicality to be a good offensive lineman. With that being said, and I want to let you guys jump in on that, but also the offense. Is it really the talent? And I want to think that the offensive line is not as bad as it looks, because when I look at the line, no, seriously, from player to player.
And you call me the optimist.
No, I'm looking at the tackles. No, hear me out. We have solid tackles. We got a young center who is pretty good, right? And we got guard play that is, okie dokie, so to speak. Is it the play caller, or is it the talent? Because when I look at when Grubb was hired, this is why I'm asking this question. When Grubb was hired, I was worried about the way he calls plays at UW. That a lot of those routes and a lot of the offense is really down the field. So you need a lot of time for those plays. And for me, it seems like that he needs to implement a more shorter passing game and maybe pick and choose times for those longer developing routes. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all about timing and things of that nature. Because I've seen the offensive line be good at times and also be bad. So it's like this. If I see a team play good for 1 quarter, I believe that you can do it for 2 quarters. And if you can do it for 2 quarters, you can do it for 3 quarters or 4 quarters. It's about consistency, right? Remember we talked about the offensive line of footwork? It's like having really good feet, make a really good offensive line, but you have to be very technical in your approach and fundamentally sound. So with that being said, I'll just pull it out there. Who is it? The coordinator, or is it the talent?
I think it's a combination of both. Because the coordinator has to recognize what talent his team has and utilize the strengths. And what you're saying is Grubb likes to go deep, which he does. He likes to have that deep play with the midfield open for that extended run that just happens to break through the line and get that extra 5-10 yards, because now everybody else is another 10 yards beyond. So you've got to figure out how to work that with your current aspect of team. And right now, he doesn't have the offensive line to allow for that to work all the time.
So, everything that you guys are saying, I understand, right? And one of the things about the offensive line is a dance of violence. I just put it to you like that, because we're talking about the footwork and the coordination and how we orchestrate certain movements to open up holes. The violence comes with the contact with the defensive line and that second line unit, which is that linebacking core, right? But what we're watching is, mind you, Oluwatimi went out. He went out early. So now Jason Sundell comes in to have to try to play that position, right? LeMaya's only played, one game so far? So what we're looking at is inconsistency with the continuity of that line. The problem comes in with the OC is that he does not give them things to build on. You broke it down. You asked about the 3 C's, right? Yeah. That confidence portion comes with the consistency of how you do things. Now watch this. Green Bay comes in. They decide, you know what we're going to do? Very first drive, we're going to take the ball. We're not going to throw it one time. We are going to run the ball down their throats. What does that do? That instills confidence in the offensive line. If the defensive line and the defense could have stopped them and pushed them back and kept them from being able to march all the way down to the touchdown, that would have changed the fundamental complex of the game. What we're watching.
Well, that and the onside kick.
Well, okay. So watch this. So when you watch them, you have to understand. You have to be able to move players. So what the OC is doing that's causing him a problem is, I'm not even going to run the ball enough, even though the running back just ran for 16 yards. I need to run the ball. So what happens is, if you're not running the ball, the defense says, okay, well, fine. We'll just drop. And 9 times out of 10, if we drop far enough in coverage, we're going to be able to cover your phenomenal receiving core, right? And what happens is, now you become one-dimensional. We have a OC that has a one-dimensional thought process in how he calls games. They have to remind him, hey, Ryan, you need to run the ball. We have to. Running the ball is essential. It is hilarious. When we used to sit back and when they talk about Pete Carroll, and they said Pete Carroll, the problem with him is he had this old school fundamental thinking of how the game should be played offensively, and he wants to run. Well, okay. Every team in the NFL runs, and then you have that team that takes 60 other plays and throws the ball, right? It's not that we're not doing it enough. It's the fact that we have, no, the problem is with this team this year, we're not running the ball enough. We're not taking the 5-yard chunks because we're looking at 15-yard chunks. Well, hey, if I add a 5 with a 4 and a 2, I got a first down, right? A 2, a 3, and another 5 gives me another first down. Yeah. You want big chunk plays and you want big explosive plays, but you're not actually doing the things that get you there. And I really think that Grubb has to be more focused and more purposeful about running the ball. Now, we're going to find out when Ken Walker comes back this week against a defense that, guess what they do? They eat the run. So it's going to be one of those things that we're going to have to try to figure out, how does this thing work the most effective? And sometimes I'm thinking, we have to get back to the right type of play calling, and we have to get back to the focus of what our offense is intentionally to be. You went and got, okay, so watch this. Cross and Lucas come from the same system, spread offense. when they're coming out of college, they're both coming from a spread offense, right? They questioned the ability of those two players to run block when they first came in. The reason why Lucas was still around in the third was because of the question about his ability to run block. So now you're looking at it and you say, okay, well we want to run, we want to be able to dominate the line of scrimmage because that's what running the ball does. When Green Bay came in, they said, look, the line of scrimmage is ours. And we have to get to a point where we're going to have to put on our jock strap and we're going to have to tighten that joint up and figure out what we're going to be. Are we going to be men on the defensive line, or are we just going to let these cats run? And they said, second half, this is done. That defense came alive and they came back to who they are. Yeah. But what is our offensive line doing?
Wondering what they're doing.
Trying to guess and figure, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I coach Little League football, one thing I do is I try to implement, when I did coach the offense briefly, I've had a few plays that I knew that they were really good at, and we were going to do this. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to do this, and we're going to run it because that's what we do. And I think, yeah, so somehow, somewhere, they got to come up with some type of identity of attack that uses their talent to the best of their ability. So if the offensive line is average, let's say, what was the Seahawks bread and butter under Mike Holmgren? It was like that stretch play. It was that stretch play. Okay. Okay. Is that stretch? Was that the stretch blast? Or was that no? But he had that stretch play that was very successful in too. Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch was a 26 power? Yeah. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, he bounced off tackle. Okay. Yeah. And then they had another play that was very successful under Mike Holmgren. And Raiders fan used to hate it. I have a cousin who loves the Raiders. And he used to it was a play that bailed them out every time. Mike Holmgren will call it perfectly the draw. The draw used to break defenses' backs. And this is what I think Grubb is trying to do. Because Mike Holmgren did the same thing. That's why my argument was Matt Hasselbeck to win the MVP, and people look at me like I'm crazy. Because he used a pass to set up the run. Grubb is trying to use the pass to set up the run. But when you have an inconsistency, it just doesn't seem to happen. But his philosophy is to use the pass to set up the run. He did the same thing at UW. That's his philosophy. And whatever reason, they can't seem to come out of it. So I think it's a play caller's problem. I think that's what it is. It's a play caller's problem. You've got a good quarterback. You've got some pieces at offensive line. You just have to run things that they can handle. They can't block for 12 seconds. It's just not going to happen unless the defense is tired, unless there's certain scenarios that they've been successful doing X, Y, and Z. Now you can open it up with all those combination routes and things of that nature. So I believe we can all sit here and agree. I think we are in agreement that it's a play caller issue, and that needs to be fixed. And that's what really worries me, because I want Grubb to be successful. We've been begging for an offensive coordinator to come in here and throw the ball downfield. We have been wanting that for a long time. Take more shots, use DK. But I don't really want them to go away from that. I just want them to be successful, because I don't want my offense to have a new offensive coordinator next year. I do not want that, because you know how long it takes for the offense to get clicking. Unless you got a superstar stud.
13 weeks.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
When we talked about Waldron, right? Waldron didn't have a problem throwing the ball down the field. There was just nothing as a backup if downfield was covered. So there was no intermediate routes, right? So what you have to be able to do is, yes, you want to be able to throw the ball down the field, and that's why I love Grubb, because Grubb has those bailouts. If the deep is not open, I got this tunnel screen for JSN. I got this dig that I got for Fant coming over, or Bobo coming over the middle, right? there's outlets, or how about we run a Texas route with Ken Walker, right? Those things work. Those things actually work. The problem is you throw it so much that either the defense is all out blitzing or they're dropping in coverage and your line cannot hold up. And you have not given anything for them to actually to sink their teeth into and to hold on to as far as a running game. So you remember, I think it was Bill Cowher with the Pittsburgh Steelers used to do it a long time ago. He did it against us, and what would happen is they would come out and they would throw the ball deep, right? The Steelers would throw the ball deep, they would score, they throw it deep again, another Hines Ward touchdown, and then here comes Bettis. This is what you're going to get for the rest of the night for 3 quarters. We got a lead, we're just going to hold on to this lead, and we're going to beat you up for the next 3 quarters to maintain this lead. I have no problem with that. I think that's the fundamental understanding of that type of football is great. I think what happens is when you say, okay, we got up by throwing the ball, we're going to keep throwing it, and we're going to keep throwing it, and we're going to keep throwing it. Oh, there's an interception. We're going to throw it again. Well, interception, pick 6. We're going to throw it again. Instead of going back to the run and running the ball and being physical. You have an offense has to assert its physical dominance by running the ball. If my line is not good at pass blocking, which they're showing that they're having trouble with, only thing I can hang my hat on at that point is run blocking. Guess what? Every player that you draft from here on out, from round 1 through round 6, their thing that they're supposed to be good at is run blocking. They've been run blocking since Little League, right? They've been playing in the wing tee run blocking since Little League. Now what you're asking them to do on this level, and we seem to be successful, right? With LeMaya and Oluwatimi and with Lucas doing that pin and pull blocking scheme when they're running, and you take the guard and the tackle and you pull them across, or you take the center and the guard and you pull them across and the back end pins. It's working. That works. Be dominant. Stop second guessing yourself. I'm gonna tell you, I watched a lot of high school football this year, right? And the one thing that frustrated me so much is watching a coach call a play that was an empty backfield to start the game. And I'm going to use this every single start of every game. Every game that they did that, they got blown out. Run the ball. This is how we establish dominance on offense. I got this dude, Bradford, who is what? Bradford's what? 330, 340? He's a big dude. He's struggling in the pass blocking situation. What is he good at? Running the ball. You got to, if you got maulers on your line, maul somebody.
Woo! I guess we're all in agreement with that. So here we are with the Seattle Seahawks is heading into a must-win playing against Minnesota. If Minnesota wins out, they're in the driver's seat. They got the first round bye. So that's what they're playing for. If Seattle loses, then Seattle has to win out to make the playoffs and have to beat the Rams head-to-head. But it gets dicey if the Rams lose or whatever case may be. But the Rams are looking really good, especially offensively, with all their weapons, all their receivers healthy. That offense is like a fine-tuned machine. So we really need to beat Minnesota. Remember what we talked about it. They have to go 1-2 playing Green Bay and Minnesota. They can't afford to lose both games. So this is where the Seattle seems to surprise everybody when their back's against the wall, and it's a must-win. This is where we shine at. So hopefully that will roll over. So, but watching the Bears and the Vikings play, what I saw in the game was 2 separate things, and we're going to go into Sam Darnold, is that one quarterback was under duress, one quarterback had a clean pocket. Okay? Caleb Williams was under duress all day, and Sam Darnold was back there chilling, taking a nap, texting, checking his DMs, all that while throwing the football. You know what I'm saying? That's the tale. And if we don't get pressure on Sam Darnold, we will get blown out just like they did the Bears, right? So it's a tale of rushing the passer and protecting the passer. For us to be able to beat Minnesota, we have to put him on the ground, and we have to keep Geno at least minimum of maybe 3 sacks. Can we hold him to 3 sacks at least? And hopefully it all happens in one quarter. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm looking for. But when we talk about now, I want to talk about Sam Darnold, because I'm a believer that if you were a good football player in college, you can potentially be a good football player in the NFL. And this is why I believe this. A quarterback needs 3 things to be successful: confidence, culture, and what was my third C? Confidence, culture. What was it? And coaching. You need all 3 of those. All 3 of those to be successful. If you have no confidence, you have no culture, you have no coaching. Sam Darnold was playing for who? Was it the Jets? When he was considered a bust, right?
Yep.
There was like written him off, but now he's starting to look like the quarterback from USC that was considered a top prospect. You know what I'm saying? Because he's in a culture, he's got a run game, he's got a defense, he's got a culture that believes in him. He's had time to understand the nuances of football. He had to learn football. Every college quarterback has to learn football. They have to learn football going to the pros. Windows are smaller, room for error. You got to throw balls on a dime. You got to understand it's just different game. And you need time to develop. And Sam Darnold had that opportunity. And that's where he's at. So when you look at past quarterbacks that were washed, they didn't have it. You know, did Jamarcus Russell have that in the Raiders? Did David Carr have that in Houston? You know? No. They had horrible lines. So then you become gun shy. You become a product of your environment. It's almost like your freshman year of football. You just go out there and you just tank. You're gonna have no confidence.
Bo Callahan.
Yeah. You got the media at your throat. You know, it's a thing. You go home and they're calling you a bum on first take. They're calling you a bum on this. Eventually, you're gonna start believing you're a bum. It's just human nature. But you need 3 things. That's what Geno Smith needed. And they say that Sam Darnold's better than Geno Smith. A lot of experts believe that. But when I look at the tape, I just see one player just has a cleaner pocket all the time. It'd be nice to see what Geno Smith can do if he got 7 seconds to throw the ball. Go ahead.
Oh, I agree. I'm agreeing with you completely. It'd be really nice to see any of our quarterbacks in the history of Seattle football get 7 seconds to throw the ball.
I think Matt Hasselbeck did at times with that great line. Yeah. That was like over
not
3
consistently.
Yeah. He had a line. Yeah.
We talk about quarterbacks, right? And that's the issue. A lot. So when you looked at Darnold when he came in, right, he was a high draft pick, right? The reason why he came in as a high draft pick was because that team was garbage. The nature of being drafted high means the team that you're going to 9 times out of 10 can't pass block. They probably ain't good at run blocking. The defense isn't that great. So if you're drafting a quarterback and the defense ain't that great, then you're really drafting the wrong position at this point. They struggle in those situations because the team is bad, right? David Carr struggled because the team was bad. He was seeing ghosts and he was beat up so much. I think he has the highest rate of the most sacks of all time, right? So why was Russell Wilson so successful? He was drafted in the 3rd round by a team that had been to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Why was Mahomes so successful? He was drafted late in the 1st round or middle of the 1st round by a team that was in the playoffs that moved up to come get him, right? Why was Brady so successful? The Patriots had been in the playoffs. They waited to the 6th round to pick up a guy. Why is Purdy so successful? I mean, it's understood that if you take a quarterback that has the opportunity to be able to throw the ball, any NFL quarterback with enough time can pick a defense apart. That's just the way it works. And I don't understand why we don't understand that concept. That we're going to be looking at Shedeur Sanders, right? And we're going to be looking at Cam Ward, and we're going to talk about Quinn Ewers, and we're going to be talking about Nussmeier, and we're going to be talking about all these quarterbacks that are coming in. right? Jackson Dart. These guys, can they be successful? Well, the last two I mentioned probably will have a better opportunity to be successful than Shador Sanders. The situation that you look at when you watch what Jaden Daniels is dealing with, Jaden Daniels, he came into a situation, I don't know how that garbage team has a better offensive line than what it is right now. He came into a situation in Washington being the number 1 overall pick as the quarterback to get, the number 2 overall pick because Caleb Williams was number 1, right? So Washington had some pieces working, and they knew what they were trying to build, and they went out and filled the holes that needed to be filled to make him successful. I don't think that Caleb Williams is any worse than Jaden Daniels. I just think that, again, what'd you say? Caleb is running for his life. And what's Geno doing? He's running for his life. So it's just that situation, man.
I agree. I have been a huge fan in any of the football leagues that I've joined in for fantasy football. Everybody's always drafting quarterbacks first. No, I'm drafting my wide receivers, my running backs, and my defense because those are where you're going to get your points. Yeah, your quarterback gets you points, but if your quarterback sucks,
Right.
because your offensive line sucks, my wide receiver is going to score more points than your quarterback. And hell, I think one year I even drafted a kicker before I drafted a quarterback, and I ended up winning that league.
Hey, it makes more sense for a team to shore up your offensive line and then draft a quarterback, even if he is not a top tier. And see, that's what the NFL does. And they tried to say back when the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. I'm gonna try to stay on script as much as possible here. Back when the Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl, that year they said you had to have an elite quarterback and you had to have a prolific passing attack to win in this league. So Seattle, according to ESPN, Seattle was supposed to get ran through because they wouldn't be able to slow down. So what they did was it proved not to be true. They imposed their will on Denver, and we won. So then they start altering the rules on how Seattle was guarding the wide receivers. And if you remember that, they altered the rules a little bit. Sherman and guys was upset about it, thinking it was a conspiracy because they want to market the quarterback as the most important player on the field. They're pushing that agenda, right? They've always pushed that agenda. But Baltimore won with Dilfer. You can win in other ways. Football is all about if you impose your will. If you impose your will on the other team, you win. Right? If you run the football, you win. What did I say?
I'm just glad he finally admitted it. We've been trying to tell you Russell Wilson ain't as good as everybody thinks.
No, he's not as bad as y'all say he is. Trent Dilfer was a good quarterback. Trent Dilfer was a top coming out of and he was good for Seattle. He's a good quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
What, was he really?
Yes, he was good.
I don't think so.
He wasn't trash.
No.
If you give him time, he's completing passes.
Hold on.
Yes.
So Russell Wilson was a good quarterback
Yes.
in Seattle.
Yes.
Okay, let's take away Marshawn. Is he still a good quarterback?
Yes.
Do we win the Super Bowl?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
We can find a
No.
running back. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Nope.
Wait. You're trying to tell me
take away any member of the Legion of Boom.
Oh boy.
Do we win? Nope.
Hey, this might be inappropriate. Can you call the little bus, please? I got to pick up some co-hosts.
You need a ride.
I got to pick up some co-hosts right here. The Seattle Seahawks won 48-6.
Marshawn Lynch.
And they would have won that game with a backup running back. They would have won that game with me running the ball.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
don't come in here. What is in this cup? Marshawn Lynch fundamentally changed this organization.
No, the question was asked would they have won that Super Bowl without Marshawn Lynch.
Because
I'm talking about
Marshawn Lynch instilled the toughness that went across the board from the offense to the defense. He was the toughness barometer for that team.
Okay.
You hear
how did Marshawn Lynch lose his job in Buffalo? Somebody explain it to me. I don't care how good you are.
Okay.
Listen to me. There's a few few running backs in the universe that can be productive without a good offensive line.
C.J. Spiller.
There's only a couple. Barry Sanders, maybe Thurman Thomas. Derrick Henry still needs to get. He's not as elusive to be shaking people in the backfield like that. He needs at least a little. What I'm saying is this: we can't discredit how good Seattle's offensive line was. Now he was now. No, see, now you guys are changing the subject. The subject was, will Seattle have won the Super Bowl without Marshawn Lynch?
And I say
I say absolutely.
I say no.
Oh my goodness.
I say no.
Okay. Now you're talking about the process to get to the Super Bowl. We're talking about the game.
You don't get to the game.
No, I'm on the Marshawn Lynch talking.
So I want y'all to understand that this man is sick. He is a Russell Wilson sycophant. He has lost his mind, and he doesn't think that Marshawn Lynch is a generational talented quarterback, running back.
No, I don't think Marshawn's on the same level as a Bo Jackson. I don't think he's on the same level as a Barry Sanders. I don't think. Listen, hear me out. I don't think he's on the same level as an Adrian Peterson. I don't think he is.
Keep going. No way.
Whoa.
But no way. But keep going.
Whoa.
No way. But keep going.
Okay.
He'll tell you.
What happy hour are you going to? No.
But Marshawn to tell you that while Peterson was still working out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was going to go get me some Hennessy and figure out where we gonna turn up tonight.
Yeah. Marshawn Lynch said he was different.
You different.
Peterson was
Hey,
no.
Nobody said,
he probably became a different level, but no, Adrian Peterson was always Adrian Peterson.
Both of my co-hosts are speaking on something I have no idea.
Okay, listen. Let me clear it away.
I don't know what.
I think Marshawn Lynch was great, but in my eyes, I'm looking at there's only a few in the world that are on a total different level.
Yes.
And there's only a few. There's only a few quarterbacks on a different level. Yes. Joe Montana, Dan Marino, Warren Moon, right? Those are it. Then you got there's levels to it. Well, you don't like Dan Marino?
No.
You don't like Warren Moon?
I think Dan Marino and Warren Moon were outstanding and great. You said Joe Montana, and Joe Montana physical tools ain't necessarily that spectacular. You know who's outstanding to me?
So you're saying Joe Montana wasn't special?
Brett Favre was special. Dan Marino was special. Joe Montana had to play quarterback, you have to be cerebral. To be on that type of level,
to play running back, you don't necessarily have to be. cerebral.
You don't. You have to be a.
What would argue you gonna got to be an idiot to play running back in the field?
No.
I'm just saying as far as the physicality.
The physicality that it takes and the determination. And the
wear and tear on your body.
The speed and and to understand when not to take the hit, Sean Alexander, when not to take certain hits, Ricky Waters.
Ricky Waters, the most underrated running back in the NFL.
Ricky Waters is one of my favorite running backs, period. But when we start talking about it, Marshawn Lynch, he fundamentally changed the Seahawks culture, the consistency, and the confidence of this team.
I don't know.
The defense,
no,
if you listen to the defense, they'll tell you that they vibed off of Marshawn.
They did.
Marshawn was the reason. When Marshawn, we had games that we had lows. So that game where we were going into Super Bowl 49 and we played the Packers and Russell threw 5 picks.
Oh, that game was on the LOB. My God.
Well, I never seen Richard Sherman throw a pick.
He threw 5
interceptions.
They got 5 extra possessions and we still won the game. That's one heck of a defense.
Okay, but understand the way that they got back to focus.
was running the ball.
Marshawn had them great runs.
Yeah, he did.
Marshawn had them great runs. He was the consistency of that team. And when you sit there and say, so and this is remember what Chris Carter said before that Super Bowl 48?
What did he say?
That these guys are pedestrian. These receivers are pedestrian.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to get beat by these receivers. Everybody is watching who?
Marshawn.
Everybody's going to jump on Marshawn. How does Marshawn change that? Because if I turned around and put no, I'm a Robert Turbin fan, love Robert Turbin to death, but putting Robert Turbin in as the starter in that Super Bowl was not going to help us win that joint. That was not going to happen. It was the focus on what Dion come and talked to Marshawn, and he said, oh, you's a dog. He said, I'm all about that action, boss. Right? That's what he said. What was the conversation about? The conversation at the time was about, hey, they're looking to stop you. He said, what? He said, hey, they can do that. He said, but we got some dogs out there. You know what he was talking about? He's talking about Doug Baldwin. He's talking about them dudes on the other side of the defense. He's talking about the Jermaine Curses. Russell, all he had to do, ready? He threw how many touchdowns in that game? 3?
Against who?
Against Denver. Denver in the Super Bowl. He threw 3, right? Yeah. He threw 1 to Doug that made the most outstanding moves to get into the end zone. Then he turned around and threw 1 to Jermaine, and Jermaine had to make a Super Mario spin one way, spin the other way to get into the end zone. And then, when we start talking about it and we start understanding it, it was Marshawn Lynch and the focus on him that got them to win. And that defense, what Malcolm Smith had a pick 6 for a touchdown. Bro, I really don't think that if you're honest about the situation, Russell Wilson was as much of a factor in that Super Bowl as we thought. That defense held it down, and that run game held it down. And them little 5-yard dink and dunks to Curse and
do not hit on my Russell Wilson.
Let's go back. We had to go back and watch it.
It was a whole team. Now come on,
it was a whole team effort.
A whole lot of plays in the regular season.
He said
because there was times that run game was stagnant sometimes during the season. What
Sherm say? He said, "Lord have mercy, it's Percy."
and don't negate the fact that Russell Wilson was a pioneer to that read option. Him and Marshawn was that 1-2 punch for a while. That read option was potent.
But why does it work?
It worked because of 2 people.
It worked because of 2 people.
A pick and roll.
Hey, the one dude before they started running that read option, the one dude ran through New Orleans and they had a Beastquake, and it's the Beastquake game that we saw.
That was nice.
That's the precursor to that read option. There's got to be a threat.
But listen, the Beastquake don't happen unless he gets that hole. Did you see that hole that was cracked open for him?
I seen him shove.
It doesn't happen without the hole.
I seen him shove 3 grown men down. It was great balance. Great balance.
Listen, there was a hole that was wide that he got through there.
Don't be disrespecting Marshawn.
He wasn't even touched until almost the second level. What are you talking about?
Don't disrespect Marshawn.
What? But the rest of the run was all on him. I love Marshawn Lynch. I thought he was great.
And I think Russell was great for us at the time and what he was.
Yeah. Hey, what can I say?
What else you got, man?
What else I got? Other news. So we all agree that it's a must-win for the Seattle against Minnesota. If they lose this game, their chances of making it in, unless the Rams just tank, because I think Week 18 they play the Rams head-to-head. So that could be for either win and we get in, other team goes home, or one of them resting their players. Okay,
and that's contingent on both teams winning out until they get to 18.
Yeah. But the Rams are looking like one of the better teams in the NFC right now. They're a sleeper. You can't really name too many, but it's just that offense to me, when it clicks. It clicks. They're just so unselfish. They remind me of how can I compare them? It's like they're sexy, but they're not. If that makes sense. As far as the wide receivers, they got Cup. They got the guy I can't pronounce his name.
She
number
got a
17.
dope body, but a terrible
Man,
face.
you got an awesome. You're like a computer AI when it comes to these names. But with that being said, they have to win to get in. We all agree on that. Okay. So now let's move on a little bit down south to Michael Penix.
Man,
what do you guys think about Michael Penix taking over? And the fact that Kirk Cousins, $100 million man, look like he's out the door. Kirk Cousins seems to always come down to earth. Kirk Cousins is one of the most inconsistent what-if prospects, right? When he was drafted, I thought he should have started in front of R.J. Robert. They just seem to be a better team with him in the game. I think it's that game against Seattle, the Redskins, when Kirk Cousins came in, that offense was clicking.
RG3 was beat up.
Yeah.
Like coming into that game, he was already
But
beat
the
up.
offense just looked a little bit more balanced with Kirk Cousins in. But I don't want to get too far into that part. Okay. What do you think about the Michael Penix situation?
I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm excited, and I'm going to tell you why. Because for the first time, I think we're watching a team do it right. You have to, and the Jaden Daniels thing, it has to be. It has to be. Jaden Daniels thing is an anomaly, right? Mahomes sat and waited. Brady sat and waited. The great ones that actually get a chance to sit and wait. I mean, come on. Yeah, but when you actually get a chance for a quarterback to come in and learn the system, Brett Favre, when he first got down to Atlanta, some cats forget that he was in Atlanta, and he got beat up by June Jones a lot because of that, the way that he played in Atlanta, right? He got to Green Bay, he sat behind Don Majkowski and watched the Magic Man work. And they realized, hey, well, let's see what Fred Favre's got and see if we can get him in here and play. It's the issue of being able to be to learn the playbook for one, to see what the action looks like in full speed, right? Back then you got full speed live reps in practice. Pete Carroll got in trouble because we have full speed live reps in practice, right? I think what they're doing with Penix, whether he wins out these last 3 games or loses out these last 3 games, he is going to have an opportunity to be able to learn, grow, and develop. The portion about bringing in a quarterback is the developmental portion. We throw these kids to the wolves, and we forget that they're not developing when they're getting punched in the mouth. Some people think, hey, the best thing you do is just go ahead, throw them in there, and see how it works. Nah. Let him learn. Let him learn. Let him sit behind a veteran and let the veteran tell him, hey, you know what? Yeah, man, I shouldn't have done that. That didn't work out. We're going to look at the film and we're going to go, okay, well, on your tablet, it shows this and that. There's conversations about what happens and what is better and better not to do. He's having a chance to look at the team that he's going to get behind and line up behind and see how the line moves. He's been watching for 14 weeks, how this line moves? It's a no-brainer. This is the best way to develop a quarterback is letting him sit. Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith, right? Kaepernick sat behind Alex Smith. Russell was an anomaly. Why? Because Russell came into a situation that basically was like instant oatmeal. Just pour and add quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. So I'm totally in agreement, and we've said it throughout this podcast numerous times. Development of quarterbacks is what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to just throw them in. That's the problem with a lot of these other quarterbacks that are coming in the last couple of years is they're not getting developed.
Come on.
They're just being expected to perform like they did in college. Well, you can't do that because the NFL and NCAA are 2 totally different games. Totally. They've got 50 different rules in the NFL that they didn't have in the NCAA.
Yeah.
The 1 foot inbounds thing. You know, that now you got to change where you're throwing the ball. You got to
Yeah.
change where you're catching the ball. You got to change everything.
Yeah.
So to take the time and develop him, keeping him out, I probably would have brought him in 2 weeks ago. Not wait till next week. I probably would have brought him in 2 weeks ago. But like you said, he's been sitting on the bench. He's been watching the live, how everything's moving, how everything's cohesive, how everything's going to work for when he's out there. And while he's watching, he's envisioning himself as the quarterback
Yeah.
and making the adjustments that he needs to mentally right now.
Yeah.
So when he comes out to play, he's already ready,
Yeah.
which is what you want with your quarterback.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm agreeing. I believe there was a plan the whole time. I think he's going to really open up that offense on a different level. I think he throws a much better ball than Kirk Cousins. But they paid $100 million for a plug-in player. Oh, however much they pay him. Right.
Exactly. For that quarterback that you're going to end up re-signing at a large paycheck.
Mm. Who? Mm. 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 It seems like Dallas has everything except for coaching
Wins?
and culture. I mean, they seem confident and arrogant and
Well, that's
cocky.
because they them boys.
Yeah. So
They all boys. They ain't squad. They boys.
oh my goodness. Well, we're gonna take a brief break here, because I think my co-host they need a hug after I whipped him about the Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson debacle.
I
So
think
we're gonna
you need to hug.
We're gonna take a break, have a Christmas hug, and we'll get back to you in just a few moments.
there is something that should be happening in baseball as we speak with the Seattle Mariners and the team that we have today. And it's we just got a are we on there? All right. We back. I just we just we just heard some information that just came up here recently. Go ahead. Oh, are we there? We just heard about Ricky Henderson, the passing of the great outfielder Ricky Henderson.
The
Ricky
great
Henderson-
base stealer.
Great base stealer. A high OPS. He was tremendous in what he meant to this program here in Seattle for the brief time that he came in. He changed the way that team batted, how they approached the game at the plate.
Yeah, he made the team more small ball related.
Yeah.
Which is where I feel the Mariners need to go again.
Yeah. I think realistically, I think you're right on so many different levels. I think what we fail to understand is that Ricky Henderson, the way that Ricky Henderson played the game was something that we should marvel at as far as just his accomplishments and the way he taught the game. Because he when he came in here, he's with Olerud and all those cats back then, and you start seeing the Boones in them, really just putting the ball in play and actually taking that first pitch strike, and then I rest in peace, Ricky Henderson, man. You were a legend. You were a pleasure to see play every single day. And just thank you for everything that you did for this community and everything that you did for the city of Oakland. Rest in peace, man.
And they actually just announced as well that the field that they will be playing on for the next 2 years while they wait for their new stadium is going to be called Ricky Henderson Field.
So it'll be Henderson. Okay.
They have named it Ricky Henderson Field.
Yeah, it's
Very deserving.
Very deserving. And so with that, we want to transition into our baseball talk and our Mariners talk.
Ain't much to talk about right now.
And that is something to talk about.
Yeah. So I've been reading a lot about what's been going on with the Mariners, and it's looking to me like it's no longer been a Jerry DiPoto decision as to what's been going on the last few years. Because if you remember a few years ago, DiPoto said, we're going to build up this team to a point where we can go out and spend money on that key free agent that we need and lock it in for 4 or 5 years and have a young team with a key power hitting free agent to fully solidify the team and make a consistent playoff run. And right now, we've got that young team that they were building towards. We've had them for the last couple of years. And we're not signing that key free agent that we need to. Well, look at the last 3 years. We had Soto was available for a while. We didn't sign him.
And we weren't going to.
Right? Last year, Ohtani was available. We didn't even look at that one.
No, that was $1 billion deal.
We've had several key position players that have come up as free agents, and the Mariners haven't even looked at them. And they're going against everything that DiPoto said 5-6 years ago.
So, okay, so I guess the thing that's been on the table right now, and it's been speculated, and the rumors have been coming out for about two weeks now about trading Luis Castillo, right? Yep. They've even named what they're getting back. There's a 3-way trade that they're talking about. They're talking about Philly. They're talking about the Cubs. They're talking about
The Red
Cleveland.
Sox.
They're talking about Boston. They're talking and every time we hear these things, it sounds like okay, maybe. And I'm not sure what the sticking point is, but I think I have a good idea. Nobody is willing to take, and this is crazy. Nobody's willing to take Luis Castillo's whole $24 million contract off Seattle's hands.
Well, it's not just 24 million. He's got 3 more years at 24 million a year.
Okay. So let's keep that energy, right? So $24 million. Tell me what a pitcher this year has made per year being on that same level. Because there was one that was signed that makes way more than $24 million a year.
And didn't even pitch.
Come on. Come on.
And,
let's be honest.
And shortly after the World Series came out and said he's still working to get back to pitching, but he's not 100%. He's going to be ready come opening day.
So I guess what I'm saying is that the frustration that we're looking at as Mariners fans, we were talking about it, and we mentioned it. We saw about stocking stuffers, right?
Yep.
And one of the things that I look at, what I wanted my stocking from my Mariners, is I want them to have a commitment to winning. What does that mean? That means that you have to do more than just putting enough pieces together to put people in the stands. I need to see you make a playoff run. We cannot get just a playoff run once every 20 years.
Right. We need to be making a playoff run 2 out of every 5 years minimum.
Hey, look, why is it that we're able and we're content to say, man, the Yankees are always in it for the playoffs. The Dodgers are always in it for the playoffs. The Guardians are always in it for the playoffs. The Red Sox are always in it. Astros are always in it. Texas, Anaheim. Why is it not something that we just expect and demand as Mariners fans in this? And it's, like you said, it sounds like it's above DePoto. It sounds like a Stanton issue.
Oh, yeah. It totally sounds like a Stanton issue.
And the question is, and what I've been hearing, and I mentioned it to you in our chat, is that fans have been asking for the Mariners to sell.
Yes.
They're asking for the ownership to sell the team. Now, that is one of those things that's scary to me because they can sell, but are they selling to somebody who's invested in this city and in this town? We've seen one team that's got sold, and it didn't stay in town. They've tried to take this Mariners team to Virginia, to Washington, D.C. A few times.
That's where I don't think, as a fan, because I'm a part of a few different chat groups that have talked about that. I don't think we're necessarily asking for the team to sell outright. We're asking to get rid of Stanton because Stanton is the majority owner.
But is that he is the CEO
Yes,
of this ownership group, right?
Yes, he's the
with
CEO
that,
because he owns 53% of the team.
So with that, is he thinking that he's doing a service to the other investors and part of the ownership group by doing what he's doing?
Oh yeah, he is. He feels he's doing exactly what the other ownership wants because what's the one thing he's got that they all want? Money. And what's he doing? He's taking our team that is $129 million a year for payroll, $129 million, and he brought in $330 million in profit last year.
Because their payroll is a drop in the bucket. It's one of the cheapest payrolls.
What is any board of any company? What is their primary goal?
Profitability.
Profitability, but why? To put more money in their pockets. So if you have more profit by using less payroll, you put more money in your pocket.
Okay. So keep that thought.
Yep.
Right? So they have been evaluating teams and the worth of certain teams. Forbes, I think it's Forbes or Fortune does it every single year. And Forbes and Fortune that evaluate each team and what their value of those teams are.
Yep.
So the Sonics They were talking about $300 million at one point in time for the franchise to be brought here to Seattle.
Yep.
When Ballmer bought the Clippers, that was $2 billion, right?
Yep.
They're saying that what it would take to bring a new Sonics team back as far as an investment from that ownership group as a expansion payout would be about $4 billion.
Yeah.
If the Mariners were good, couldn't you, if the goal is to figure out maximum profitability, paying to bring talent in here to make this team a great team and actually selling them once they got great, don't you think you make more money that way? Don't you think the value of your team actually goes up and that there's the asset itself is worth more?
Yes. But here's the thing about sports team ownership. And Mark Cuban actually talked about this when he bought
The Mavericks?
the Mavericks. Okay, he bought the Mavericks super cheap.
Right.
Super cheap.
Right.
And what did he do? The first thing he did was influx a whole bunch of money into the team. Because his goal wasn't to keep the team for 20, 30 years. His goal was to make it a high profit team and flip it. So and what did he do? He bought it for what? 200 and something million? And sold it for 17 billion?
And so that's the thing. So now, like, okay, so let's talk business, right?
Let's talk business.
In the understanding of business, we've always heard this thing is that it takes money to make money.
Correct.
Right? They are holding back this team's ability to actually be better than what they are right now. I just read
agree.
this. Do you know what I just read this morning? Okay, so they've been talking about bringing Carlos Santana back, right?
Yeah.
I just read after the Christian Walker deal, which is killing me, right? Is that they're talking about bringing Jorge Polanco back now.
I don't know that they're talking about bringing him back. I did hear that there's a lot of fans saying we should have never let him go. And I agree. I think Polanco played an excellent third base.
But why bring him? Okay.
Bring him back because you now have no opportunity. You right now, with the market the way it is right now, you have an opportunity to get one of three infield positions.
Okay.
There isn't an option to get all three anymore.
So the other one was Justin Turner, bringing Justin Turner back.
Oh, I'm all for that.
So what did you improve?
Here's the problem. I don't think we needed an improvement, in all honesty. I think we re-signed Turner. We kept Polanco, which would have been smart. Okay, you've got Demo to play utility. That's a good choice. He's a good utility guy, not a good everyday guy. And I'm not the only fan that thinks this. But now our problem is second base. Okay? If we go out and acquire a second baseman, great. But what did I say earlier? We need to go back to small ball.
Right.
In our farm system right now, we have a middle infielder that is excellent at small ball, loves to bunt, runs fast, and likes to steal.
You know why we moved away from small ball, right?
Griffey?
No.
Everybody else in the world was hitting home runs?
No.
Why?
It was the shift.
Shift is gone.
Wow, what a wonderful concept.
And here's my thing about the shift. Here's my thing about the shift. Small ball. The shift does not defend against small ball because if you're good at small ball, you can combat the shift by hitting the other goddamn way.
Well, small ball, and the reason why the shift was important for small ball was because you had players that could only hit the ball in certain areas.
Right.
So you shifted to that area so that they couldn't.
Well, that's where the power hitters came in. You had your power hitters that could only pull the ball to the right side or pull the ball to the left side.
So now we got Edgar back, right?
Yep.
Who is the hitting coach, right?
Yep.
Well, let me take it back. He is a one of the managers, not the hitting coach. It's Kevin Seitzer.
Yeah, Kevin Seitzer's the hitting coach. Edgar is he oversees all of offensive production.
Okay. So he's the offensive coordinator there.
Basically, he's the OC of baseball, yeah.
He's Ryan Grubb.
If he doesn't like what Kevin Seitzer's doing, he's going to step in.
So when we look at it and we understand the concept, what we're looking at is now it sounds like it's a better way of actually being able to play that small ball because the shift is gone. And when you have an Edgar who could spray the ball all around the field and a Kevin Seitzer who could help teach them how to put the ball in play in different places, that's something great. And I'm excited to see where this goes, man.
I think if the Mariners were smart, which I truly believe Stan is a smart guy. I know he's got to be a smart guy because he makes a lot of money.
Right.
If he were smart, he would either bring back Polanco to play third or Carlos Santana, either one. Sign Turner to a 1 year or 2 year deal. Let him play first base and platoon it with Luke Raley. So one day Luke Raley's playing first, the next day Turner, because Turner is getting old, but Turner's got that presence in the dugout. He's got that experience in the playoffs. Okay? So we need that. Bring up Ryan Bliss. Okay? You bring up Ryan Bliss and put him at second base. He's got a good glove. I wouldn't say he's the best second baseman out there because he's not, but he's got a bat. He loves to bunt the ball. Now you've got Luke Raley that bunts and can run down the bases. You've got J.P. Crawford that can bunt and run down the bases. You've got Ryan Bliss that can run down the bases. You got Julio and Cal Raleigh that can hit the ball a ton.
And don't forget Robles. Don't forget Robles.
Yeah, and then you got Robles, who out of nowhere can just decide to drop a bunt and still run
and take one over the wall.
Right. So you've got 7 guys out of your 9 that can produce runs.
So where's your lefties at?
Well, Robles is a lefty. Bliss is a righty, but can bat left if needed. He does do switch. You've got Luke Raley that's your lefty. You got Cal Raleigh that's a lefty. You got half your 9 are lefties.
I just think at this point in time, there's a point where we need to get better use of our funds. We need to spend some more money.
We need. It's not better use. We need an ownership group that's wanting to put funds into the product.
Right.
That's what we need. And it's not necessarily the whole group, because Griffey stepped in a few years ago wanting that exact thing.
That they're going to pay. They're going to spend some money.
He wanted to be an influx of money. And like I said, Stanton's the majority owner, so he overrules everybody.
But that's the concept of all the sports is you have to spend money to get a better product. Our farm system, we can beat up the farm system and say, hey, Colt Emerson is coming. Colt Emerson's coming. We need to go ahead and get to Colt Emerson.
I hear too many people talking about Cole Young. And I'm like,
Cole Young?
Yeah,
really?
and Cole Young is a great player. I'll give him that. But
well, it sounds like Emerson is probably closer to coming up.
Yeah, Emerson is definitely closer to coming up. But DePoto even said in August that Cole Young is not ready and he's not expected to be up anytime this year. But so many fans are like, oh, we should bring up Cole Young and put him at second base. Do you not listen to the guy who is actually developing these teams? Our minor league system is the way it is because DePoto has drafted these guys and brought them through our system. That's the reason that Brian Wu is as good as he is. That's the reason that Bryce Miller is as good as he is. That's the reason that our entire starting lineup, other than Castillo, is the way they are, is because we brought them up through our system, trained them, and developed them to be ready to play at the big league level.
But the reason why they're not listening is because they're talking about controllable years.
Well, that too. But
we don't want
until they hit that big league stage, they're only making what, $80,000 a year.
I just want to win, man.
I'm right there with you, and I
think that's
I want to see Ryan Bliss come up and play a full season at second base, and then have people talk about how he shouldn't be in the big leagues.
I just want us to win. I think that's something that's necessary for us. It's something for us to see going forward is whatever it takes for us to win.
Yeah, we need the house that Griffey and Edgar built to be filled with stands and all the fans all year long, every year, like the Seahawks games are always filled and sold out. But in order to do that, we have to have the product the fans want to come see.
I think we're getting ready to go ahead and take a break. Yeah, man, we like to see it. Come on back. Segment 3.